All right, we'll call the order Monday meeting of June 17th, council meeting. And the first item is moment of reflection. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. That takes us to approval of the minutes. Council, you have the minutes in front of you. Are there any comments or corrections to be made? Seeing none, they'll be approved. And we have some communications, awards, and petitions tonight. The first one is a proclamation for the Pollinators Week, which is June 17th through the 23rd. And tonight we have Mr. Al Tuttle to accept that. Mr. Tuttle, if you'll come to the podium there. Said Mr. Al Tuttle. And we've known each other for quite some time, and it's amazing how much I've learned about pollinators and bees in general. And I always enjoy some of your lectures, and what I've learned over the years from Mr. Tuttle is how fragile our ecosystem is, and especially with our pollinators. And that's why we have this tonight. So, whereas pollinators, to include thousands of species of bees, are essential partners to producing much of our food supply. Whereas pollinators provide significant environmental benefits necessary for maintaining health, biodiverse, urban and suburban ecosystems. It's very true, as I just mentioned. Whereas pollinators play a vital role, actually, in the health and trees, plants of our community, enhancing our quality of life and creating recreational and economic development opportunities. Whereas for decades, the city of Vandalia has managed urban landscapes and public lands that include many municipal parks and greenways, as well as wildlife habitats. And I believe you've helped create many of those and educated many for that. Whereas the city of Vandalia provides recommendations to developers and residents regarding landscaping to promote wise conservation stewardship, including the protection of pollinators and maintenance of their habitats in urban and suburban environments. Now, therefore, I, Mike Blakesley, by the authority vested in me as Vice Mayor of the City of Vandalia, do hereby proclaim the week of June 17th as Pollinator Week. So, here's the proclamation. And now you have your 5-page speech ready?
All right, thanks, Mike. First of all, I'd like to thank the City Manager's Office, especially Angela, for support for the Bee City USA program. You know, the Historical Society and the City of Vandalia work together to promote that. We appreciate what the parks system has done to be pollinator friendly. I understand even some of the council members have planted the seeds that I brought in here, like last year. So it's, and it's like, it doesn't seem like it's much, but each one can do their part. And there's a lot around the city, a lot more landscaping, a lot more flowers, which are all good for pollinators. So we appreciate all the work being done by the city.
And thanks to your direction as well. Thank you, Al. Thank you. It's a long walk down there and back. All right, since this is his first meeting as interim manager, Mr. Sweeterman tonight has agreed to allow Assistant City Manager Rob Cron to read any details of tonight's presentation. And Mr. Sweeterman will certainly ask any questions or add to any comment or have any comments, any additional tonight. So that's why we have both of them up here at the dais, so if anybody was wondering. All right, Mr. Cron, with that, you have a couple introductions and 2 other announcements.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to introduce Public Safety Specialist Heather James. If you could please stand. So Heather was appointed as a probationary public safety specialist with the Division of Police on January 22nd, 2024, when she began her initial orientation and field training. Heather graduated from Troy High School in 2012. She was employed with Miami Valley Hospital as a dispatcher from August 2020 until January. She's had previous experience in sales and as an administrative assistant with Wright State University Police. Her father is retired from the Ohio State Patrol and currently serves as the police chief at Wilberforce University in Greene County, and her mother is a former dispatcher for Van Wert Police Department. Heather was recently married to fiancé Logan on May 25th, and they reside in Butler Township. So welcome, Heather. Our next introduction is Public Safety Specialist Mike Stookey. I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Michael Stookey, who has been appointed as probationary public safety specialist with the Division of Police on April 10th, 2024. He began his initial orientation and field training then. Michael attended West Milton High School. He was employed at the Montgomery County Regional Dispatch Center since 2005. He was a corrections officer from 2002 to 2005 and also spent time working in the property room for the sheriff's office. Michael lives in Carlisle, Ohio with his girlfriend Tiffany, who is also a public safety specialist for the Division of Police. Welcome, Michael. We also have a couple announcements tonight of retirements from the Vandalia Police Division. The first one is Sergeant Todd Flynn. Sergeant Flynn couldn't be here tonight, but just a little information about Sergeant Flynn. He announced his intent to retire effective actually today. Sergeant Flynn's retirement marks the end of a law enforcement career spanning 29 years with the Vandalia Division of Police. Sergeant Flynn served in many capacities during this time with the division, including field training office, bike patrol, CVSA operator, tactical operator with the Regional Emergency Response Team, driving instructor, detective sergeant, and administrative sergeant. Todd also served as a liaison for the division through organizations the police division collaborates with, such as the OVI Task Force. We wish Todd good health and great happiness through his retirement and future endeavors. And we have another retirement from the Vandalia Police Department, Detective Mike Hulbert. Stand, Mike. So Mike will retire from the city employment effective June 21st, 2024. His last working day will be June 18th. Detective Hubert's retirement marks the end of a law enforcement career spanning 25 years with the Vandalia Division of Fire. Mike started his employment with the division as a reserve officer in April of 1998 before becoming a full-time on October 14th of the same year. He served in many roles over his years of service that included bike patrol, field training officer, acting watch supervisor, firearms instructor, hostage negotiator with the Regional Emergency Response Team, and multiple tours in the criminal investigation section. In Mike's current assignment, some of his hours were as a member of the regional agency's Narcotics and Gun Enforcement Task Force. He is a member of our Employee Wellness Committee, which makes recommendations for improving our comprehensive wellness program. Mike also played a major role in the creation of the Greater Montgomery County Critical Incident Support Management and Peer Support Team. His experience and passion for this profession will be sorely missed. We wish Mike an enjoyable retirement and great happiness through his retirement and future endeavors as well. Thank you, Mike.
Well deserved to the retirees, and welcome aboard to the new employees. That brings us to a public hearing. We have none, and then also to comments from interested citizens. And I would like to read probably the rules of engagement tonight. Anyone wishing to make a comment should wait for recognition from me before beginning to speak, and all comments need to be addressed to the council. Then please step to the podium. State your name and address for the record slowly and clearly. This will be an opportunity for you to make statements. It is not the time or place for question, answer, debate, or dialogue. Comments that amount to personal attacks of any kind will not be permitted, and please give everyone wishing to make a comment the opportunity to speak, and to make sure that we can get through the rest of the meeting tonight in a timely manner. We are limiting public speaking time to not more than 5 minutes per person. Please try not to repeat what other speakers have already said. Only the speakers recognized to speak tonight shall have the floor. Please be respectful and refrain from talking among yourselves while someone else is speaking. The floor is open.
Good evening. Barbara Spurgeon, 777 North Edge Drive. You know, driving around the city, I know every city has a City Beautiful program in place. And they've put in, the last few years, they put those planter islands in on North and South Dixie. It looks nice, but it's almost overdone, I think. The trees are getting larger. I know we have an outside source that's maintaining it. Are they going to keep control of the trees so they don't get bigger and bigger and bigger? So just something I wanted to, bring to your attention and so that it's taken care of. So, because they're getting quite big right now. And you got traffic on both sides. So, anyway. Second thing too, it's nice that we have that Vandalia Facebook page so that we can keep abreast of what's going on in our city. Do we have a curfew for Vandalia? I know we probably do, don't we?
Yes.
Okay.
That
There's
can be
just
addressed.
just lately, there's been a lot of car thefts in Vandalia, a lot of vandalism. I just read today that the street right down from where I live, somebody got into somebody's car. They didn't steal anything, but she had forgotten to lock her car. And she could tell that somebody had been in there rummaging around in the car. So probably this is taking place maybe late at night, middle of the night type thing. So it just seems like these things are on the rise, and I don't know. I know our police force does its best. I guess they patrol during the night, I'm sure, so, but I don't know if you had comments about that. I don't know, just bringing it to your attention.
Appreciate that.
Okay? So-
And we'll have staff look into some of these. I know that the Parks and Rec, Rudy Wells, has looked into the trees and has chosen the right trees for those dividers, so.
Sure,
I'm
sure.
sure, but they could still probably maybe trim back, but we'll be sure to let them know.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay.
What is the curfew?
Chief Althouse, curfew?
Curfew?
You want to speak to that real quick?
Sorry, I missed the question.
Curfew for Vandalia?
So most of the times during weekdays, curfew's usually around 10. Weekends, it's a little bit later, like 11. So, and I know we've been making extra patrols. We actually have one of our detectives that's on the countywide auto suppression task force. It's been an issue we've been addressing for about the last 12 to 18 months where there's individuals targeting certain environments or certain locations. So we continue to address that with our extra patrols and trying to be alert with those things as they come to our awareness. So.
Okay, thank you for answering that. And perhaps maybe we can put some of these items on Facebook to answer, since there are some concerned citizens about this. So,
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to follow up to Chief Althouse's comment, it would be super helpful, because I'm sure that Vandalia's experience is the same as many other communities, if residents lock their cars, shut their garage doors, turn lights on the outside, but the majority of the thefts that are occurring from people entering unlocked vehicles and stealing vehicles where keys are left in the vehicles. So that would that little bit of crime prevention would help the police department and help protect your property. I know you may not feel like you should have to, and it's a choice, but we're seeing a lot of unlocked vehicles and vehicles being stolen that keys are being left in the car.
Yes. I would wholeheartedly concur with that, so I agree. Thank you.
This has been a public service announcement from council. Okay. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Kenneth Wood, 730 Deerhurst Drive, and I just wanted to express a concern about the proposed zoning change for Section 8 of the Foxfire development. Specifically, from the letter that I've read, the connection to Bolton Abbey Lane has been proposed to be eliminated. And I would think from a public safety point of view, having more access is better than less. Specifically, if there were a natural disaster, such as a severe tornado like we've had in some surrounding communities, or heaven forbid, a large plane crash, if part of the development was inaccessible because of such a disaster, having other access would certainly be helpful. Also, as you may have seen watching the news, when there's a natural disaster and a lot of first responders, the streets fill up quickly with lots of equipment, lots of cars. So again, I would think having more access would be better than having less access. And so I would respectfully suggest that we do not want to eliminate that Bolton Abbey Lane connection. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cron, would you be able to speak to that by chance? I know there's a zoning change perhaps proposed, but council has not seen that yet. It hasn't come to us, but I don't know if you could speak to that.
Correct. The applicant for the subdivision, or the developer for the subdivision, they submitted an application for a rezoning and the realignment of some of the streets, as you were discussing. They did submit an application, and they were scheduled to be on the June 11th Planning Commission meeting, which would have then brought their material to tonight's meeting. However, in staff's review of that, we had several suggestions to them, and one of those was the discontinuation of that street, because that makes a long cul-de-sac on the back street, which doesn't meet our standards. So we sent those comments back to them, saying that with their initial proposal, we could not support that plan. So they have asked us to table their application until they can make revisions and send them back in for more review. So that's where we are with that project right now. They have asked to have more time to look into their plans and what they're going to propose.
Thank you, Mr. Cron.
Did he say section 8 or A? I couldn't hear. 8. Okay, thank you.
And I'm not sure we'll have any more answers, or perhaps what answers we might have for anyone tonight, but certainly we had the opportunity with that information available to us. So anyone else wish to speak? Yes, sir. Oh, okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Leticia Perez-Igo, 768 Deerhurst Drive. Reason I'm here is because there's conflicting information regarding this new development that's coming to Foxfire Drive. I've read what you have on site, and as far as the builder, on the 9th, he sent out, well, I'm not sure if he sent it out on the 9th, but there's a letter dated the 9th stating the elimination of Bolton Abbey connection. That's my concern, since I live on Deerhurst Drive. So on May 17th, I sent an email to the city manager, received an immediate reply on the weekend, which I was really surprised. He did recommend that if I felt that I can come to a study session and a council meeting to express my concerns. Now, on Deerhurst Drive, we have a total of 44 homes. That includes Old Derby. If you add the 58 additional homes, and you would have to see the plan to know what I'm talking about. I do have copies for you if you'd like. And the latest information that I have in writing and in person firsthand from the builder was the 22nd of May. So that's what I'm going off of. I have heard other updates, but again, I'm going off what I have. Again, there's a total of 44 homes on Deerhurst Drive. You add another 58 homes, plus I would say an average of 2 cars per home. That's an additional 106 vehicles going down Deerhurst Drive. That's a lot of traffic. We already have the bottleneck at Little York and Brown School, also on Webster. So you add all those homes, directing them down to Deerhurst, and the reason I state directing them down Deerhurst, it's a more direct path to take Deerhurst out of the residential area. Now, if you had Bolton Abbey, you can see that the 29 homes on the north side, which is referred to Section 8, if they had Bolton Abbey, they can take Bolton Abbey and go out through Foxfire Trail. So you would be dividing the traffic flow equally. I'm not saying that everyone's going to divide it equally, but common sense, let's distribute the traffic flow equally. That's all I'm asking for as far as noise control and speeding cars. It's a safety issue. And not only are you increasing the vehicles, you're increasing Amazon deliveries and UPS deliveries. So you can have a lot more commercial vehicles going down Deerhurst. I know this has nothing to do with this concern, but we've already invested thousands of dollars just taking care of the noise coming from Little York. And now we are gonna have to invest more money for the front side of the house. That's just unfair. So I am asking that they divide the traffic flow equally. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comment. And we'll have staff look into that, as well as, I believe, that'll be reviewed in Planning Commission as well. So you may want to attend the Planning Commission when it comes time and present that same material. Okay? And, sir?
Joshua Birchfield, 1153 Stony Springs Road, Vandalia. Kind of limited on what all I can say based on what I wanted to say due to your opening rules and regulations on decorum. So I'll try to do it the best I can here.
Sure.
I would say you might want to reconsider those rules. Questions, answers, statements of fact, those are all okay. It doesn't matter if it takes 5 hours for this meeting. If it gets the people the information they need or lets the people express what they want to express to you, the servants of the people, that's a good thing. If you can't handle being here for 5 hours, don't run. It's what you're signing up for. It's been a pretty trying week with the actions of council and the way things have went. I want to applaud and thank Mr. Blakesley and Mr. Follick on speaking out against the way the ouster of the Dan Went as city manager went. It's at this point common knowledge, or it should be, that you two both had to rearrange your days and you made it known that you couldn't be at that meeting. It was pushed through anyway. Pretty clear why. I know some council members want to pretend like Dan Went woke up that morning and said, I want out of this. It's not what occurred. We all know it. We're all adults. We don't need to be shooed away while you guys act in, the best interest. We're not children. We can know why, and that's all I've ever asked for. I've never spoke on behalf of Went in a way of saying he should keep the job. I've never spoke against him saying he shouldn't keep the job. I've asked for reasons why, other than saying we don't trust him. That's pretty, kids go to the room, me and daddy gotta talk, and that's not who we are. We're the people that you serve. You sign up for it. You chose to run. And like I said, and I was told this as a threat, you guys can be voted out. You guys just had 2 members come up or are about to come up eligible for recall, which is being looked at as an option. You're not there for life. You're not there to be unquestioned. We are allowed to ask you questions. And I will applaud both for you. I've spoken to both of you many a times, and you answer the questions. You don't hide from it. I don't know why you, not you specifically, but council members, so much want everything to be in a one-on-one conversation. What is wrong with saying something in the public? If you feel so strongly like the man should lose his job, say why. We're the people you're representing. Say why to us. We're not the kids you're representing. So when someone asks you and they call you out, call it whatever you want. I put a post on All Things Vandalia calling out the council members that I could tag. Mr. Blakesley, Mr. Lewis, you was not included. I couldn't find your accounts. And I asked why. I said, now's the time. Separation agreement was agreed upon. You approved it. One of your council members even said you would talk after that and then shied away from it and just pretended like Mr. Went wanted out. And that's not what occurred. So I gave you an opportunity to say why. On the equivalent, let's be honest here, all things Vandalia at this point is pretty much like our local access in the city. It's pretty much the equivalent of a local newspaper. All the information that is on there, all the citizens that are on there, it's right there. That's what that is. And instead, I was personally attacked. Implications were made that there was some dark secret on why me saying you can be voted out is considered a threat. Pretty sure you guys are aware how democracy works. You can be voted out. It's not a threat, it's a fact. But because it comes out of my mouth or my fingers in this instance, it's considered a threat because of some implication of a past by one of the council members that I'll admit I was wrong and voted for. Man, I wish I could have that vote back. But you guys really need to remember who you serve. It's not your own interest. Anytime you're up there and you're trying to make a decision, ask yourself, if this was put to a poll for every citizen in Vandalia to vote on, would they vote the way you're voting? And even if it's what you believe, if you can't answer that question with a yes, you shouldn't be backing it, because it's not about what you want. It's about what the citizens want. I guarantee you don't get over 50% of the people saying yes, they want Dan Wynn out of a city manager. Guarantee you don't get 50% of, or over 50% of the people voting yes, they want to spend $277,000 to make a city manager go away while we have to pay a new city manager in the interim, then a new contract from when we pick somebody. We don't want to hear things from council members who say they don't want to go through the process because it's such a tiring process. I know for a fact one council member here tonight told me himself he kept Cruzy as city manager so long because he hates the interview process. That's horrible. If you don't want to do the job, don't run. Resign. Turn in the letter tonight and resign. If you don't want to say why you're doing something, even though you feel so strongly for it, turn in the letter of resignation tonight. And then I'd also like to remind you guys that according to the city charter, all resignations from the city manager has to say why. You guys accepted Dan Wynn's resignation. I got a copy of it today from Miss Angela, a copy of the resignation. There was no why on there. So that is not a resignation letter that's accepted by our city charter. Therefore, as council and as Mr. McDonald should have told you, you can't accept that resignation. So you're in violation of the city charter right now. You have the right to waive the 30 days. You guys have that right. It's in the city charter. You do not have the right to waive the reasoning. He took the oath of office, agreed to the city charter in the oath of office. He has to say why. And you guys have to let him say why and demand that he say why. That way we can do the public records request and find out why. Because our council members don't want to say why. They'd rather personally attack the constituents and try to defame their person. I expected better than what you guys conducted yourself. Not all of you, but the rest of you. And you're open to recall. You're open to being voted out. You're not here for life, and you're not here to be unquestioned. You're not undisputed. Do better, because you opened up this city to lawsuits for defamation of character.
All right, thank you for your comments. Next, ma'am.
Good evening. My name's Sue Allen. I'm 761 Deerhurst Drive. Enough has been said about Foxfire, but I had another question, and I'm not sure where to go to find the answer. But there's property on the other side of where the Foxfire development is, and it's a lot of land. Years ago, I came to a council meeting where that was talked about being rezoned. Who do I go to find out what that is zoned as now? Because my biggest concern is if we put a major subdivision in there, I'm going to throw out, what are we going to do with Brown School Road, Little York Road, and all of those things? Because once a day, whether we like it or not, there's a crash on 75 pretty close to one of our exits. And when that happens, Little York, Brown School are really backed up, and probably most everyone's experienced that at one time. So I guess my question is, where do I find that information rather than having to come here? I don't know.
Mr. Cron?
So I guess, are you talking about the property that's on Poe Avenue?
No, I'm talking about the property. It's on Brown School Road. It was up for sale years ago.
On the east side across from Foxfire? So
Yes.
that is zoned agricultural right now.
Okay, so it is still zoned agricultural. If that was ever to change, who gets notified of that, and what's the best option for me to keep an eye on that?
So if an application would be submitted for rezoning, we're required to notify anyone within 200 feet of that property. It will also be posted on, our legal public notices and on our website, but anyone who owns property within 200 feet of that property that's being asked to be rezoned would be notified by mail.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes. And just so you know, staff is taking notes, so anything that we may be able to provide further information later. Yes.
Hi. Hello, everyone. My name's Alyssa Schaefer. I'm at 2312 Upper Trent Way. I'm happy to be here tonight. I am a new resident in Vandalia, so I have some things written on my phone here because I've taken a lot of notes through the last couple weeks, starting to get to know our local government. And I've always been taught that involvement in local government is crucial wherever you live. So I've been doing my homework, listening in, and I noticed during the special meeting on June 5th that was called, the City Council called an illegal executive session as a result of the improper and illegal motion by a council member, and it's in violation of the Open Meetings Act and the Ohio Sunshine Law. It is required to state the purpose of the executive session as part of the motion, and a council member did not and simply stated that it's a request for an executive session. This is an illegal motion that violates the Ohio Open Meetings requirement under the Ohio Revised Code. It seems to me that the termination of the city manager is retaliatory on the part of council members Farce, Dugan, and Avalotis Weaver. As city manager Dan Wendt would not allow council members to violate the Vandalia Charter in some way. Something happened, there was a violation, there was a discussion, and whether it's misappropriation of funds or diverting staff from their work or trying to direct staff, either is a violation of the charter. Those are the two that I could come up with, that I thought, because we're not getting answers. So either is a violation of the charter and states that the consequence is the seats of the council members shall be deemed vacant. If true, I request all relevant public records and call on city council to deem these seats vacant without recall by popular vote. It seems to me that communications had to have occurred to coordinate this special meeting on personal devices. Personal devices had to be used to subvert the Ohio Sunshine Laws and avoid having the records turn over to the public when you are doing business outside of the public meetings. I request all meetings and text messages between city council members regarding the coordination of the June 5th meeting between the periods of May 15th and June 10th. That's the best I can come up with, and I think that we need to see this. There is no way that there were conversations publicly made, or we'd see them. So there has to be personal device communications going on what happened and how that meeting was coordinated. I saw the posting on social media, but that was it. I think that many of the council members have been here too long. From the research that I can do since the 90s, some of them, to be honest, a lot of the biographies on your website are lacking. I was kind of shocked not to see the mayor's biography at all. I can't find where he has been, what his term is, how long he's been in office. I see many of you have been here since the 90s. I'm unfortunately not seeing Candace Farce here tonight. So I encourage you all to update your biographies on the website. New residents are coming in. I'm getting to know my local government, and I'm not seeing, if you've been here 30 years or 25 years plus, what have you done for our city? I'm seeing things that seem outdated to me, so I'd like to see what you've accomplished in your time. The one thing I will say about Foxfire is I definitely want to see a stop sign if we're going to have all these new cars coming in at Bolton Abbey and Upper Trent Way. There needs to be a stop sign there if we're going to be talking about more houses coming in. But where do I go to see these public records that I've called for?
Ms. Swartz handles the public records request, so you can stop in the city building anytime during business hours, and she'll be able to accommodate you.
Okay.
Ms. Swartz?
And I ask if you could either stop in the office.
Okay.
And then we have a form, if you'd like to fill that out. Or
Okay.
verbally, or by email, my card, and I can give that to you as well.
Okay.
And we'll
I'm sure I
try
can
to
find
get
you on the
those to
website.
you, in a timely manner.
Okay. Great. And will those include the personal records, the personal device communications?
Everything has to go through our city attorney, anything that has to be redacted. So it's not something that we can just hand over the
Quickly.
next
I
day.
understand
It
that.
does take some time but I think that all of the devices, if so, then we'll have to check with the city attorney, but yes.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. I will be in the office. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Kate Flynn, 876 Deerhurst, and just along with the stop sign on the other side of Foxfire, if we could have a three-way on Deerhurst and Upper Trent, because the stop sign stops on Upper Trent, but people are going to be just flying down Deerhurst. It's a nice little hill, and so it would at least slow the traffic with the increase in the housing.
All right.
I have no idea who does that, or if that's a planning commission or whatever, but I thought I'd bring that out. Thank you.
And that'll be recorded for the notes, and they'll go to planning commission. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
My name's Liz Cicchetti, and I'm 790 Bolton Abbey Lane. So I'm here with a couple different complaints, and I think to start, I walked in with an agenda that says the city of Vandalia is committed to transparency and open meetings, and then the first thing that was out of the meeting, we are not going to do a Q&A. I've logged into many meetings. I have little kids and not always able to get here, and I've never heard that we cannot do a Q&A or have open dialogue. I feel that since what's happened over the last couple of weeks with the removal of city manager Dan Wendt, we are denying citizens a response to any questions we have. If Vandalia doesn't want to be transparent, that's fine, but stop saying that we are a city of transparency, because it's actually extremely embarrassing to the members who are showing up asking for answers. Along with the lack of transparency, I do think that we need to take a look at our council's responsibility to responses. As Joshua and Alyssa alluded to doing their research, over the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of response on Facebook. As a council member, it is the duty, from my understanding, to be honest and represent your citizens. But there are multiple posts that have responses about the meeting and how they were conducted that do not align with what actually happened. And one exact response from Councilman Amber, she explicitly said the meeting was a mid-year check-in and that it was already scheduled of something you do annually. How would an emergency meeting be scheduled if it was a mid-year check-in? When questioned, went silent. So if we are using social media as our response to Vandalia as council people, I think you need to look at how you are able to respond, and if something is not factual to the city, you are asked to remove or stop responding. Along with that, I think that we need to take a look at how we are utilizing our taxpayer dollars. We paid somebody out with no response to why except for communication. In the newspaper, we saw vice mayor and council members say that they supported Dan Wendt, but did it because it was the best for the council. Over $250,000 were paid specifically to him. Now we have an interim city manager who is going to step in, and then we have to look for another city manager. That, to me, is $250,000 to easily $500,000 wasted, and there's no response to the citizens. So if transparency and not caring how citizens care dollars are allocated is what this city is going to move forward doing, I just ask that that's stated places. Let's stop acting like Dan went left because he chose to, and give us some type of answer and some type of forward plan. If what he was doing was not good enough, what is the vision of the next 5 years of Vandalia, and how is he not meeting that? I do want to thank you because we all know that the highest response rate is from either people who are satisfied or extremely dissatisfied with a service they have received. And as an extremely dissatisfied citizen, this is a wake-up call for me and many of my peers in Vandalia that we need to be more active in local government. And I do think that you are going to see a big change in the amount of citizens who are active, because we were living our day-to-day thinking everything was great. And right there, it was just ripped beneath. Both city manager Went and all the citizens that were behind him, with no chance to even have a fight. The decision was made when we came here for that executive meeting, and we all know it.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. We'll move on to the city manager's report. Mr. Cron.
Thank you. Just a few items tonight. First of all, on Thursday, June 20th, we'll have the Airshow Backyard Bash at the Art Park.
I'll have you hold on just a moment, please.
Sorry.
Anyone wishing to leave, you're more than welcome. Thank you for staying and hearing your comments.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Just to repeat that, so in case anyone missed that, we're going to have the Airshow Backyard Bash will be on Thursday, June 20th, from 6 to 9 at the Vandalia Art Park, with the U.S. Air Force Band of Flight performing. June 27th, the Vandalia Police Department will have an open house from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Vandalia Police Department. There will be several stations set up with demonstrations along with complimentary food. The Star Spangled Celebration will be July 3rd, 2024. The City of Vandalia and Butler Township will present the Star Spangled Celebration at the Vandalia Sports Complex, beginning at 7 p.m. The event is being sponsored by Bo Townsend Ford, Joseph Airport Toyota, Smedley Chevrolet, and Minster Bank, with additional support from the Digital Cowboy Computers and Pickerel, Schaefer, and Ebling. Entertainment will be provided by the band Pulse. Fireworks by Rossie's Famous Fireworks will start at 10 p.m. In case of rain, the fireworks will be held on Friday, July 5th at 10 p.m. with fireworks only, and there will be no entertainment that day. City offices are going to be closed on July 4th in the observance of the Independence Day. The Recreation Center will close July 3rd at 6 p.m. and will reopen at 7 a.m. to noon on July 4th. And just a reminder of our summer schedule for council meetings. Council established a summer schedule for our council meetings. The July meeting will be held Monday, July 15th at 7 p.m., and the study session will tentatively begin at 5:30.
All right, thank you. And continue on with your action items.
So tonight, we're asking council to consider the reappointment of current board and commission members whose terms expire June 30th of this year. A memo from Ms. Swartz is in your packet with the members listed who are up for reappointment.
And it should be noted, too, that the vote can be placed as acclamation voting to reappoint all incumbents at one time. What's the pleasure of council? Do I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move to approve the list of boards and commission appointments as outlined in the memorandum by Ms. Schwartz.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Councilman Follick and a second by Councilman Lewis for acclamation. And there any discussion at the boards and commissions? All right, Ms. Wall, please call the roll.
Councilmember Dugan,
Yes.
Councilmember Follick,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley.
Yes, and the motion passes 5-0. And because of that, we have one board member that's required to take the oath tonight, and I will present that oath or give that oath tonight. And Mr. Flannery, if you'll join me at the podium. All right, as promised.
You will raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Mike Flannery,
I, Mike Flannery,
solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and will obey the laws of the United States
and obey the laws of the United States
and the state of Ohio,
and the state of Ohio,
that I will,
that I will,
in all respects,
in all respects,
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and ordinances of the City of Vandalia,
and ordinances of the City of Vandalia,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties associated with
the duties associated with
the position I am undertaking.
the position I am undertaking.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll have it signed. And thank you for your service to And again, appreciate your volunteer.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll continue on. All right, we have no old business, or we do have actually old business, and it's the downtown market study. Mr. Cron.
Yes, thank you. At the May 20th study session, City Council requested to table this item until a future date. We just left it on the agenda to get some direction, so we're requesting direction from City Council on when they would like this item to be brought back for discussion.
Yes, and I think, do we want staff to provide, or I think council should provide staff a direction and dates, perhaps maybe we can further review this, and just coming off of our strategic visioning, I think we're probably in a good position to maybe look at the study and see what we can apply to that strategic visioning and go into greater detail and give staff direction. That will give us, give them the schedule, and we can look at this perhaps next couple months, and we've got some time on this, obviously, but we spent some money, so what's the pleasure of council? Okay, and perhaps staff can send out some dates, or we do it at a workshop? Is that something that council would be agreeable to? Is that something we could probably devote maybe, I don't know how much time to look over that? We've had that packet given to us, so it shouldn't be unfamiliar to us.
If we want to do it in a study session, I would maybe allow 20 to 30 minutes for discussion about it.
Okay. Or maybe up to 30?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll leave it to staff, but maybe past summer session, maybe starting September, that'd be maybe a better time?
So
Or that way we'd
maybe
have
the
two.
second meeting in September. I think we have an IT update on one of those meetings, so we'd put it the opposite one of that.
Okay, so perhaps then, looks like September sometime then for that
We'll
study
look and have it
review.
either on the first or second meeting in September.
Okay, yeah, because we have two meetings, and if we need to continue on, we can add that to the next meeting. Okay, good. We'll move on to resolutions. We have 5 of those tonight, and the first being Resolution 24R40. Ms. Wall, title only, please.
Resolution 24R40, a resolution awarding the bid for the 2024 copier lease and service agreement project to Perry Protech, Inc. as the lowest and best bid, authorizing the city manager to enter into a finance lease with Perry Protech, Inc. for 11 copiers and to enter into a service agreement.
Mr. Cron.
Yes, the city's 60-month equipment and service lease for 11 multifunction copiers with U.S. Bank and ProSource has expired. To maintain interrupted copy, scan, fax, and printing services, the IT department issued a request for proposals for a new 60-month fair market value lease and service agreement, aligning with our commitment to fiscal sustainability and efficient technology. The RFP, published on May 6, 2024, garnered bids from 7 companies with evaluations focusing on cost, reliability, user feedback, support, and usability. After reviewing the bids and visiting showrooms, IT Manager Davey is recommending the acceptance of Perry Protech's proposal of $1,834.04 per month, which offers familiar Konica Minolta copiers and the advantage of a local office in Vandalia. Therefore, we recommend awarding the 2024 copier lease and service agreement to Perry Protech, Inc., and authorizing the city to enter into a 60-month lease.
All right, do I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move to approve Resolution 24R40 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Councilmember Follick and a second by Councilmember Avalos Weaver. And is there any discussion? None? All right, Ms. Wall, please call the roll.
Councilmember Follick?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley?
And I vote yes, and motion passes 5-0. Next is Resolution 24R41. Ms. Wall?
Resolution 24R41, a resolution waiving competitive bidding and authorizing the purchase of equipment for and the upfitting of 3 new patrol vehicles for the Division of Police.
Mr. Cron?
The Vandalia City Council authorized the Division of Police to purchase 3 new Ford Police Interceptor utility patrol vehicles in 2023 for manufacturing and deliver in 2024. The Division of Police budgeted $70,000 for the purchase of equipment and upfitting for these new patrol vehicles in 2024. While some equipment is transferable from the outgoing patrol vehicles, some new equipment is not transferable and will need to be purchased and installed. K.E. Rose provided a quote of $53,630.84 for the purchase of new equipment and installation of equipment in these new patrol vehicles. K.E. Rose informed the Vandalia Police Department that the equipment could be ordered and installed within a few weeks once purchased. When checking with several other vendors in Southwest Ohio who installed equipment on police vehicles, these vendors could not provide equipment quotes and/or were months out on scheduling patrol vehicles for equipment installation. K.E. Rose has been awarded the contract for the installation of this equipment for over a decade and provides quality service and workmanship. They typically have the same technician work on Vandalia Police Department vehicles and are quick to correct any issues or problems with the patrol vehicle equipment. Chief Althouse is requesting council to authorize and waive competitive bidding and permit Vandalia Police Department to contract with K.E. Rose for the purchase of new patrol vehicle equipment and complete installation of patrol vehicle equipment in the new patrol vehicles at a price not to exceed $58,000.
All right, do I have a motion?
Your Honor, move that we approve Resolution 24R41 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Councilmember Lewis and second by Councilmember Dugan. And please, any discussion? All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Follick?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley?
Yes, and the motion passes 5-0. Takes us to the next resolution, 24R42. Ms. Wall?
Resolution 24R42, a resolution awarding the bid for the Castle Hills Golf Course Irrigation System Project requested by Parks and Recreation to Commercial Irrigation, Inc. at the lowest and best bid price of $1,887,896.
Mr. Cron. Yes, bids were publicly opened for the Castle Hills Golf Course Irrigation System project on Tuesday, May 14th. This project will allow for the replacement of the 50-year-old golf course irrigation system at Castle Hills Golf Course. This project will take place in conjunction with the golf course irrigation pump station and control panel replacement project, as the pump station and control panel moves the water from the well field to the irrigation system on the course. This project was advertised in the Daily Court Reporter on April 26th and May 3rd. 7 contractors attended a mandatory pre-bid meeting on May 2nd, 2024, and 4 contractors submitted bids for the project. Bids range from $1,335,797.40 to $2,382,539.96. Our consultant on this project, Technical Choice estimates range for the project was estimated at $1.85 million. Technical Choice performed a thorough review to determine if the bid proposals met specifications and also contacted project reference list contacts to determine the quality of work performed on similar projects. Technical Choice recommends that we respectfully decline the low bid from Ohio Site Solutions, as they do not meet the pre-qualification criteria and are not qualified for the scale or type of project. Therefore, we are recommending the bid for the irrigation system project to be awarded to Commercial Irrigation, Inc. of East Peoria, Illinois, at their bid price of $1,887,896, allowing for up to 10% of the original bid for contingency items that may arise during construction.
All right. Any other discussion? All right, do I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move to approve Resolution 24R42 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Follick and a second by Councilmember Lewis. Any discussion? All right, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Follick?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakeslee.
Yes, and the motion passes 5-0. Next is Resolution 24R43. Ms. Wong.
Resolution 24R43, a resolution awarding the bid for the Castle Hills Golf Course Pump Station and Control Panel Project requested by Parks and Recreation to Pro Pump and Controls, Inc. at the lowest and best bid price of $142,709.51.
Mr. Cron.
Thank you. Bids were publicly open for the Castle Hills Golf Course Pump Station and Control Panel Project on Tuesday, May 24th. This project is in conjunction with the previous project we spoke about on the irrigation system. This is the control panel portion of this that pumps the water to the course to the irrigation system. 2 contractors attended a mandatory pre-bid on May 2nd, and both contractors submitted bids for the project. Bids range from $142,709.51 to $248,738. Our consultant on the project, Technical Choice, estimated the range of the project from $180,000 to $200,000. Technical Choice performed a thorough review to determine if the low bid meets all the specifications and also contacted project reference lists as well. Based on the bid proposal, review, and reference responses provided, Technical Choice recommends that we move forward with Pro Pump and Controls of Shelbyville, Kentucky at their bid price of $142,709.81, and also allowing for up to 10% of the original bid for contingency items in case they arise.
All right. Do I have a motion?
I move that we accept Resolution 24R43 as stated.
A second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Dugan and a second by Avalos Weaver for Resolution 2443. And is there any discussion? All right, Ms. Wall, please call the roll.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Follick?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley.
Yes. And passes 5-0. Next is Resolution 24R44. Ms. Wall?
Resolution 24R44, a resolution approving a financial contribution to the Vandalia Development Corporation.
Mr. Cron?
Yes, at the May 20th, 2024 council meeting, council passed a resolution 24-R-37 approving a management agreement with Diff Inc. for the food and beverage operations of Castle Hills Golf Course. The resolution authorized the city manager to enter into an agreement with Diff Inc., whereby the company would operate under the city's liquor permit and manage the food and beverage activities at the Castle Hills Clubhouse under the name The Approach. Two versions of that agreement were considered that night. One was, the one that was passed did not include a dollar amount, a donation or loan to Diff Inc. At that time, it was discussed to have Diff Inc. apply to the Vandalia Development Corporation for assistance with financing. Since that time, Diff Inc. has applied to the Vandalia Development Corp., and the Vandalia Development Corporation voted 4-1 to approve a $50,000 loan at 0% interest for 60 months. One thing to note, the Vandalia Development Corporation does not have the funds in their account available for this payment or for this loan request without a contribution or donation from City Council. So this resolution would allow City Council to make a donation to the Vandalia Development Corporation so that they would have the funds to loan this money to Diff Inc.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move to deny the resolution 24R44 as presented.
Second.
A motion from Councilmember Follick and a second from Councilmember Lewis to deny the motion for 24R44. And any discussion? I know we had a lengthy one during the workshop for the audience. I don't know who was here, who wasn't. There was further discussion on this and how council looked at this, and it was a good discussion. And that's why I believe that it's being requested to deny, so.
Well, we're voting on the funding. I
Funding.
think we could have probably provided enough security within the agreement or the loan agreement to provide for the repayment of those funds, but I still have serious reservations related to the liquor contract, and at this point, I think it would be foolish to go forward with the loan without any of those issues resolved, and this seems to be the most expedient way to quash this going forward, so that's my vote.
Excuse me, Vice Mayor.
Yes.
By changing the motion, you're changing the agenda. So the appropriate way, if you do not want to proceed with this agenda item, would be for there not to be a motion and a second and to let it die for lack of motion.
Okay.
Or if there was a first and a second for the actual resolution, then you would vote against it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Got it.
Then I will withdraw my motion to deny. Thank you, Acting Law Director.
And my second.
A second? All right. Thank you for that point of order.
And just so that there is some conclusion to this, I will move to approve Resolution 24R44 as presented.
Second.
Which one? 21?
The same one.
24R44. Same motion.
Same motion, we did a second.
Okay.
And then-
I see. Yeah, I was going to say, I thought we had to do it in the approval and then down. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, Jerry usually keeps us pretty straight, so thank you again for that point of order. So a motion now from Councilman Follick to approve, and Councilmember Lewis to second.
Dugan was the second.
Dugan? Okay, sorry. Councilmember Dugan was second to approve Resolution 24R44. Okay, further discussion? All right, now we have it straight. Ms. Wall?
Councilmember Fullick,
No.
Councilmember Lewis.
No.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver.
No.
Councilmember Dugan.
No.
Vice Mayor Blakesley.
And I vote no, and the motion does not pass by 5-0. All right, got past that one. All right, that brings us to ordinances tonight. And there is one in the first reading, and that is ordinance 2414. Ms. Wall.
Ordinance 2414, an ordinance approving the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as part of the various component codes of the codified ordinances, providing for the adoption and publication of new matter in the updated and revised codified ordinances, and repealing ordinances and resolutions in conflict therewith.
All right, Mr. Cron.
Yes, sir. This ordinance approves the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances and resolutions that have been passed by City Council since the last update of the codified ordinances. This update will codify all pertinent legislation passed by Council during 2023, as well as incorporating amendments to the Ohio Revised Code.
All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 24-10.
14.
14.
Wait, oh, sorry, how did I do that? Sorry, 24-14.
Second.
All right, I have a motion from Councilmember Avalos Weaver and second by Councilmember Follick for ordinance in the first reading of 2414. Discussion? Pretty straightforward. Those are just pass-throughs. All right. Ms. Wall?
Councilmember Lewis.
Yes.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver.
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Follick.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley.
And I vote yes, and first reading of 2414 passes 5-0. There is no ordinances in the second reading, and that brings us to emergencies ordinances. And the first one is 2410. Ms. Wall?
Ordinance 2410, an ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of notes in the maximum principal amount of $1,399,000 in anticipation of the issuance of bonds, to provide monies for the retirement of the city's outstanding taxable land acquisition notes, Series 2023, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Cron?
Yes, the land acquisition note issued for the acquisition of land for the Stone Quarry Crossing development matures on July 24th, 2024. The total amount due is $1,399,000 in principal plus interest. The 2024 budget included an interest payment of $95,000. The maturity date on the new note will be in July of 2025. The debt is scheduled to be paid in full in 2036.
All right. Because this is an emergency or ordinance in emergency, that I will open a public hearing for ordinance 2410. And if there's anyone in the audience who would like to address council on this legislation, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and provide a comment that you have for this ordinance. All right, seeing none, do I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move that we approve.
Hold on just a moment, please. I will close the public hearing now.
Oh,
I forgot to, rookie mistake, sorry.
no worries.
Yeah, so I closed the public hearing, and now, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Move to approve ordinance 2410 as an emergency.
Second.
Okay. So have a motion by Councilmember Lewis and a second by Councilmember Dugan. And is there any discussion?
I'll just offer what I state every year when we pass this ordinance, is that this is not new debt that the city is taking on. We're simply reissuing the notes for a project that we've had notes for many years, and it's just basically a housekeeping item that we have to do every year.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else? All right, Ms. Wall?
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver.
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Follick.
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley.
Yes. And the emergency ordinance 2410 passes 5-0. Takes us to emergency ordinance 2411. Ms. Wall?
Ordinance 2411, an ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of notes in the maximum aggregate principal amount of $1,053,000 in anticipation of the issuance of bonds to provide monies for the retirement of the city's outstanding various purpose notes, Series 2023, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Cron?
The fire engine 2016 bond anticipation note issued for the fire engine matures on August 21st, 2024. This note was combined with the fire ladder truck 2021 bond anticipation note in order to save on the cost of the issuance. The total remaining amount due on the note is $1,241,000 plus interest. The amount of the principal payment for the fire engine is $48,000 and $140,000 for the fire ladder truck. The 2024 budget includes a pay down amount of $48,000 on the outstanding principal due for the fire engine and $140,000 for the fire ladder truck, $140,000, plus interest payment of $63,425. The maturity on the new note, the fire engine $96,000 and the fire ladder truck $957,000 will be August of 2025. The debt on the fire engine is scheduled to be paid in full in 2026 and 2031 for the fire ladder truck.
All right. Because this is emergency ordinance, hold a public hearing for ordinance 2411. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to address council on this legislation, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and provide a comment for this ordinance. All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Move that we approve ordinance 2411 as an emergency.
Second.
All right, I have a motion from Councilmember Lewis and a second by Councilmember Dugan for ordinance 2411 in the emergency. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, then please call the roll.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Follick?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakeslee.
And I vote yes, and the emergency ordinance 2411 passes 5-0. Brings us to emergency ordinance 2413. Ms. Wall?
Ordinance 2413, an ordinance to revise appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Vandalia, Montgomery County, Ohio, during the calendar year ending December 31, 2024, and amending Ordinance 23-28 and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Cron?
Yes, we are requesting approval of the following supplemental appropriation ordinance for the following reasons. In the Economic Development Fund, we are asking for a $150,000 increase in appropriations to account for the costs related to an edge payments to Electropolish. In January 2024, Council approved an edge agreement with Electropolish for $150,000. Due to the timing of the approval of the agreement taking place after the 2024 budget was approved, an increase in appropriations is necessary. And just to note that this $150,000 will be reimbursed from the Montgomery County Economic Development Department once our payment is made and we submit a request to them to receive this money back. The second item is $40,000 for increased appropriations to account for the additional unexpected expense related to necessary frame repairs to the Division of Fire's 2008 Pierce fire engine in the amount of $40,000.
Thank you. And because this is an emergency ordinance, I'll hold a public hearing. And anyone interested in audience to address council on this legislation, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and any comment you have. All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
I will make a motion to approve ordinance, or emergency ordinance 24-13.
Second.
have a motion from Councilmember Avalos Weaver and a second by Councilmember Follick for emergency ordinance 2413. Any comments, concerns? All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember Follick,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver,
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley.
And I vote yes, and the emergency ordinance 2413 passes 5-0. All right, got through that. And now brings us to reports for boards and commissions. And council, you have before you the Vandalia Development Corporation meeting minutes of February 12th, 2024. Are there any comments or concerns there? All right. And that brings us to the May bill listings of $4,756,672.35, with monthly expenses over $25,000 in the amount of $26,660. Any comments there? And the bill listings for May 2024 and expenses over $25,000. And also we have the purchases over, or purchase detail for the credit card. Any comments there? Okay, good. Moving right through. All right, that's all the legislation part, and that brings us to council comments. And first, Ms. Wall, thank you for standing in.
Of course.
Great job.
Thank you. Nothing from the law director tonight.
Okay, great. Jerry will be proud. Mr. Sweeteman, your first meeting. Any comments, concerns?
Thank you, Vice Mayor Blakesley. I just wanted to say that I appreciate the opportunity to work with City Council and the city staff and the community in my role as interim city manager during this transition period. And I would like to thank staff for the warm welcome today as they showed me around the facilities. So, thank you. That's all I have.
All right, you definitely got your feet wet this morning. Not literally, but yes, that was probably a whirlwind getting acclimated to on the first day and with the council meeting at night, so a lot of things to catch up on. All right, Mr. Cron, thank you for your help tonight.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to welcome Mr. Sweeteman here. I look forward to working with him in his role as our interim city manager. Another thing, I would like to thank the staff, especially the directors this last couple weeks for the support they've given me trying to fill in at this role, and especially Ms. Swartz. She's been a great help for me getting ready for tonight and some of the other things that we do behind the scenes here. So that's all I want to say is just thank you.
Ms. Swartz, I know we normally don't do this, but yes, thank you, acknowledge for all your help with me tonight, even though I've done this before, but there's some things behind the scenes that help to make this run smooth, so I appreciate that part of it. And it brings us to Councilmember Avalos Weaver.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for all of the comments that everybody gave tonight and let us know about good and bad. I did want to just explain two things. One, social media is really difficult because it's hard to explain when people spend 5 to 8 hours a week doing things and investigating. There's a lot to this job that you don't see or know or investigate when we're doing this. I know I sat in those chairs for 7 years before I got up here, every month, and I understand people have intense feelings over this, you know, especially if it's your neighbor or your friend and you're confused and you don't understand what's happening because we are restricted by laws that we can't say so much. But we do have an obligation to do what is right. And I will clarify, as you will find, for everybody else who's going to wonder how the meeting was asked. One member asks for a meeting, and there is by law a charter that was pointed out by another council member that 3 members need to request the meeting. I didn't know this, and that they would request the law director to come, and so I will happily agree to any member on this council that asks for a meeting. I don't care who it is or why you want to meet. But I said, sure, I'll be the second member to request that meeting, and that is in the documentation that you will find. And when I sat there, In those seats, last year at this time, there was a special meeting requested in regards to the same thing. And I didn't have any questions about it, so I didn't know that everything was going to disparage the way it was. There weren't any talks about the way it was going to go. But the accusations and things that are happening is just really unsubstantiated. So I'm not going to put those out on social media and just continue to be attacked. That is not the way that council should act. So, but I will explain those two questions or remarks that you guys had, and I'll just continue to do my job diligently, and that is all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Lewis.
No comments other than to welcome Mr. Schwederman, and hopefully we can all pull together and afford him as much help as he would care to take, and we look forward for good things to come. Thank you.
Great. All right. Councilmember Follick.
Yes, thank you. Bear with me, I've got a few things to say tonight. First, I would like to welcome Public Safety Specialist Cross and Stookey to the Division of Police, and congratulations to Sergeant Flynn and Officer or Detective Hulbert on their service retirements after a combined 55 years of service to our community and the Vandalia Division of Police. And best wishes to both of them in their retirements. Myself, Mr. Cron, and Mr. Hopkins had the opportunity to participate last Thursday at Oxygen's ribbon cutting on Industrial Drive. This was an exciting opportunity for the city. Oxygen committed to the city just over 5 years ago. It took them 5 years to get the project done because of delays with the pandemic. But the Oxygen Processing Center is an over $70 million investment into our community. They currently have approximately 100 full-time employees, and they're doing some amazing work with nerve regeneration technology at that facility on Industrial Drive. So the facility was very clean and very automated, and a lot of technology in that building. I think what was most exciting was that they currently have the capacity to grow the staff 3 times within their existing building, and they have the capacity, if I understood the CEO correctly, to build additional facilities there to expand up to 6 times. So we have some opportunities there for that company to continue to grow and invest here in Vandalia. So welcome Oxygen to Vandalia. Also, I know it was probably overshadowed over the past couple of weeks, but I just wanted to highlight staff has again done some amazing things with obtaining grant money from both the state budget bill and potentially some additional federal funds. $400,000 was included to the recommendation for Robinette Park spray ground in the state budget bill, as well as $1.5 million for the Tri-Cities wastewater treatment plant projects. And we were also notified by Senator Brown's office that he is including recommendations for a $500,000 allocation for future improvements at Helke Park and $15 million for future renovations at Tri-Cities plant improvements. So those hopefully will be included in future appropriation bills, and obviously we will welcome that outside funding to support our projects here in Vandalia. Also, Mr. Cron alluded to it, but I do want to thank and recognize Assistant City Manager Cron, Deputy Clerk of Council Schwartz, and all of our staff over the past couple weeks. Everyone has had to take on a lot of extra work to make sure the business of the city continues to get done and that our residents can depend on the services that they come to expect. And Mr. Cron, in addition to his role as Assistant City Manager, has been wearing 3 hats the past couple weeks as interim or acting city manager and as our HR director as we work to fill that position. So thank you, Mr. Cron and Ms. Schwartz, for your contributions and extra efforts over the past few weeks. And lastly, I'm going to make a statement pertaining to the departure of City Manager Dan Wendt. As a lifelong Vandalia resident, longtime local government employee, and current Vandalia City Council member, I feel obligated to make a statement in support of now former City Manager Dan Wendt. Additionally, I hope to provide some transparency and answers to the many questions I have been asked over the last 13 days. For over 30 years, while working for 4 cities and interacting with dozens of city managers, I can say without reservation that Dan Went is one of the best in the business, especially for a first-time city manager with just 3 years under his belt leading this organization. Since Dan started here in February of 2021, he has consistently performed at a high level with enthusiasm and an unprecedented commitment to our community, including relocating his young family to Vandalia. He inherited a slew of challenges and problems and quickly established himself as a change agent for this organization to produce results and change the, quote, "this is the way we've always done it," end quote, culture, all at City Council's direction and with our support. He's made many tough and strategic recommendations and decisions, again with Council's approval, to include, and I'm naming just a few, adjusting water and sewer utility rates to stabilize our declining utility fund balances and prepare us for future capital projects, prioritizing overdue infrastructure replacements and repairs, addressing neglected city facility improvements and aging parks, increasing full-time fire and EMS personnel after years of various challenges associated with a decreasing part-time labor pool, successful implementation of various recommendations from our 2020 comprehensive plan, completion and implementation of the city's first Parks and Recreation Master Plan, extension of water and sewer utilities west of the airport access road, greatly enhancing our future economic development possibilities, and improved external and internal communications through website enhancements, expanded social media presence, the My Vandalia mobile app, community newsletters, and a weekly blue letters to council and community members. And the list of accomplishments goes on. All of this was achieved while maintaining the city's healthy financial status, which is an AA2 bond rating, a low debt ratio, and a projected 2024 year-end general fund balance of more than $18 million, which far exceeds City Council's long-standing 50% general fund balance target. Moreover, in the last 3 years, city staff, under Dan's leadership, have secured over $19 million in external funding sources, which includes first-time state budget bill allocations and federal earmarks. This is $19 million that would have otherwise come from our local income taxes or resulted in projects being delayed several years or not occurring at all. When hired, Dan was given a 3-year employment contract by City Council, which included 5 of our current council members. In his first year, he received a, quote, "exceeds expectations," end quote, score on his annual performance evaluation, which resulted in a 7.14% base pay increase and a 2-year contract extension through January 31st of 2026. In January 2023, he received another, quote, "exceeds expectations," end quote, evaluation, a 5% base pay increase, and modifications to the severance language in his employment contract. At the conclusion of 2023, the then City Council, again consisting of 5 of our current members, evaluated Dan as, quote, "meets expectations," and increased his base salary 3.5%. 2 council members left office in January of this year after the November 2023 election, when council members Avalotis Weaver and Dugan began their terms. Elections have consequences. On the evening of Monday, June the 3rd, City Council held a special meeting to reconsider a conditional use request for a hotel in the city. At least 2, maybe 3, council members left that meeting with no knowledge of what was in the works. At approximately 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday, June 4th, Councilmember Dugan texted the members of City Council with a question, and I quote, "Would you be available for a special meeting Thursday evening?" End quote. Several members responded with their availability. She sent subsequent texts inquiring on the availability of Monday, June the 10th and Wednesday, June the 5th. 15 minutes into this text chain, I inquired as to the purpose of this special meeting, as it had not been communicated or asked by anyone else. Councilmember Dugan responded with, quote, "to adjourn into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, or compensation of a public employee or official and take any action related thereto," end quote. And just for reference, that is one of the permitted reasons an elected body can hold an executive session per the Ohio Revised Code. At this point in the text chain, only Mayor Herbst and council members Avalotis, Weaver, and Farst had confirmed that they could be present for the Wednesday 4:30 p.m. special meeting. When Councilmember Dugan texted, quote, "So, is everyone good with Wednesday tomorrow at 4:30 p.m.?" end quote, I responded with, quote, "I am not available tomorrow." And Vice Mayor Blakesley later responded with, quote, "Not available tomorrow." After direction via email from the law director on the proper procedure for requesting a special meeting, Councilmembers Dugan, Forrest, and Avalotis Weaver submitted email correspondence to Acting City Manager Cron requesting the meeting for Wednesday, June the 5th at 4:30 p.m., knowing that at least 2 members, possibly 3, could not be present. I could also note that Assistant City Manager Cron had been serving as Acting City Manager since May 28th, while Mr. Went was enjoying vacation time with his family through Sunday, June the 9th. Dan cut short his planned vacation and returned to work the afternoon of June the 5th to attend the hastily called special meeting. Vice Mayor Blakesley and I had to alter our schedules to be able to attend this meeting as well. For those that weren't present at the June 5th meeting or haven't watched the recording on YouTube, over 15 individuals addressed council and shared overwhelmingly positive opinions on Dan's performance and commitment to Vandalia. This included residents, business owners, current and past city employees. I counted 20 city employees present at that meeting, a few of whom contacted me prior to the meeting and stated they would attend to show their support for Dan, but did not feel comfortable speaking in fear of retribution by members of city council. Just 2 residents spoke in opposition of Dan. Additionally, I've received more emails, text messages, and phone calls from residents, business owners, and local government officials, all in support of Dan and his success here in Vandalia, than I have on any other issue during my 4.5 years on city council. One thing is very clear to me about the June 5th meeting. The majority of this council did not hear or care about what the great majority of those in attendance that evening had to say about Dan and his performance as our city manager. Council entered executive session, and although I will not disclose specific comments made during that session, I will characterize the, quote, "general concerns relating to management style, communication, and direction," end quote, which was reported in the Dayton Daily News, as vague, superficial, and lacking any specificity that would rise to the level of removing the city manager or any employee. Many sources of these concerns were known only to a specific council member or 2 and would not be shared with the entire council. I will emphasize that at no time has Mr. Went been accused of committing any civil, criminal, or city policy violations. Again, elections have consequences. There have been some public comments made speculating or linking Mr. Went's departure with the recent tax sharing revenue dispute and subsequent compensation agreement with the Vandalia Butler City Schools. Anyone who believes that Mr. Went was somehow responsible for this decades-long complicated tax sharing issue is simply misinformed. Mr. Went was in elementary school when this situation started. This issue transcends multiple city councils, boards of education, city managers, city finance directors, school superintendents, and school treasurers. The only thing that Mr. Went can be credited with is mentioning the potential issue to school district administrators and starting the conversation to address and correct the problem in accordance with state law on the matter. As has been previously reported, the city and school district have settled the issue and reached a mutually agreed upon compensation agreement moving us forward. At the conclusion of our executive session, Mr. Went engaged the city council and offered his resignation contingent on a negotiated separation agreement, in lieu of a council-initiated termination action, which would have required 5 city council members to support. To my knowledge, only Vice Mayor Blakesley and I have publicly expressed our support for Dan and his continued service as Vandalia's city manager. Over the next several days, Law Director McDonald, Mayor Herbst, Mr. Went, and his legal counsel negotiated the terms of his separation agreement, which was ultimately approved by the City Council during a June 11th special meeting. As has been previously reported by local media, the cost to our residents and taxpayers to separate Mr. Went from his employment as our city manager with less than 2 years remaining in his employment contract and without any just cause is $277,714.87. Elections have consequences. Since the morning of June 6th, my focus and efforts have been on how to best move our city, both the organization and the community, forward and to rebuild trust with our residents, businesses, in both our current and future employees, including a future city manager. I would like to thank my colleagues on City Council for unanimously supporting the recommendation to utilize a neutral third party as our interim city manager. Both our city charter and the daily operation of the city require an individual serve as city manager. We have many important projects and initiatives well underway, key staff vacancies to fill, and the 2025 budget planning process starting in July. We are extremely fortunate to have a well-respected, experienced city manager joining us to lead and support our department heads and talented staff during this transition period. Thank you, Mr. Schwederman, for agreeing to serve our community, and I look forward to your leadership, experience, and insight as we move forward. Finally, to my fellow citizens, residents, who I have heard from over the past 2 weeks, who may not agree with the direction or decision that this council's majority has recently taken us. Get involved. We need citizen volunteers to serve on a variety of city boards and commissions, attend city council meetings, ask questions, run for city council. 3 council seats will be up for grabs in the November 2025 general election. Start educating yourself on the council manager form of government, our city charter, our ordinances, the comprehensive plan, our Parks and Recreation Master Plan, the city's budget, and capital improvements plan. We need council members that understand their role as a city council member, empowers and trusts the city manager to run the organization, and doesn't interfere in that process as stipulated in the charter, isn't easily influenced by noise on social media, and makes decisions on the best interest of the entire city versus a subset of the community, a special interest group, or personal agendas. Elections have consequences. To Mr. Went, his wife Laura, and their family, thank you for making Vandalia your home and dedicating the last 3 years of service to the city and our community. Your many achievements and accomplishments will benefit our community for years to come, and you have left Vandalia in a better place than you found it. You've set a high bar for our next city manager, and our loss will definitely be another community's gain. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilmember Dugan.
Welcome, Mr. Schwederman. One thing you might want to do when you're going to get involved is to come to the study sessions. That's where the meat of the business is. That's where all the presentations are made, and where you're going to learn about where the money is going to go. And I will personally speak to anyone who wants to. I don't make a habit of opening a forum to air dirty laundry, issues that people might have. I don't think that's the place to put it. If you want to speak to me, speak to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I make my comments, as we know tonight, Mayor Herbst and Council Member Forrest is absent, and do I have a motion to excuse him from all meetings tonight?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Lewis and a second by Councilmember Avalos Weaver. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, passes. And Mayor and Councilmember Forrest is excused. First of all, thank you all for attending tonight and making your comments. And I believe I may have had it more antiseptic sounding when I gave the quorum as to some of the way to have interested citizen comments. The whole idea behind this is to have the First Amendment rights, to have this council hear comments from citizens. This forum is not designed, and never has been since I've been on, as several of you have pointed out, that I've been here for a while. I'll address that momentarily.
but it's not been a forum where it's a debate. This is where you express your concerns, and I did say question, answer, debate, or dialogue. We did have some questions tonight, and I believe we helped to get some of those answered. So those are legitimate concerns, or something that can be answered, or a direction to go to. We try to be as accommodating as possible, but in the past, there's been personal attacks on council members, and that's disrespectful. So what we were trying to accomplish was to say, be respectful, take the amount of time, respect other person's time as well. And yes, you're right, we're here till midnight. We accept that part of it. We know that when we're sitting in this seat. We've had some meetings till 10. It's 8:41 now, so there's no problem. I mean, you're right, that's part of our job. So I think that part of it we do accept. And the time frame was just to try to get everybody's comment in a reasonable time. So that's really what that was all about, and I maybe should have prefaced that a little bit better. But hopefully for those folks that did speak, understand why those were in place. And so that was given to us by Mr. McDonald, our law director, because I had asked for some guidance, knowing that there would be some citizens to be concerned about, especially Mr. Went, and I wanted to be sure that we kept it respectful. And you did. Thank you. Being transparent is somewhat difficult sometimes. The perception of transparency, that is something, again, a perception. I know that several of us try to be that. I'm not on social media, so it's hard for me to answer that. I do get many, many phone calls. I still have a phone. I have returned phone calls and had many dialogues, and thank you. So I am approachable. I have heard your comments, and I do take into consideration everybody in the city, because that's what really our job is, to look out after all the city, not just select groups or certain individuals. Our job is to take that emotion out and look at the entire big picture. And that's why I've been here. And I often said that the day I'm not effective, and citizens tell me that, then there's the day that I'm done. So as Councilman Follett had commented, I would not be running for re-election, because it is time for somebody else to step up. It is time for others to get involved and be your generation, be the spokesperson of your neighborhoods, to be the ones that, as we said, be involved and help make that decision, make those decisions that guide this city to where we are today and where we can go in the future. So with that, I also want to thank Councilmember Follett for eloquently spending the time to go through that, because I had some of those same thoughts. I didn't really know how to articulate that, so I appreciate there's a lot of things that you said that I agree with 100%. And so there again, if you can get involved to see what goes on here, read the form of government, as you said, the mayor management type of government. There is the charter. Sometimes that's a little bit difficult to interpret. So it is kind of straightforward, but there are some things in there that we do get guidance from the law director, regardless of who sits in that seat, and did a great job, by the way, tonight helping me. I think that was kind of foreign. It's like, something did wrong, deny all that one. Again, rookie mistakes, but you helped us. But with that said, we're here trying to do the best job for the city, and you're right. You decide who is up here to do well for the city, to represent you, to be that voice. And I had hoped I had been the voice of many over the years, but now it is true. There's other voices that can contribute. So please do get involved. I believe that's, well, I do want to welcome the two
public safety specialists. And to the retirees, good luck with them. And also, I believe that's all I have. Anything else from council? All right, thank you. Meeting's adjourned.